joining in. I am Father Rahman Khan, the current Vice Head Boy, and joining in is my team.
And I am Mohammed Faisal.
I am Samramnath.
And I am Akshay Pal.
And today it's my immense honor and privilege to invite an individual who is embodiment of charisma, confidence and wisdom. The amount of expansive knowledge and experiences she has gathered in such a short amount of time is simply astounding. She is a connoisseur of literature, the epitome of eloquent speech. I welcome our Honorable Vice Principal Ma'am, SHAZ ANSARI. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. And I was wondering, whom are you talking about? I was about to look at the back. Kaun, kidhar, kya? Anyways, thanks
Sure,
a
ma'am.
lot.
So, of course, we all are aware, ma'am, that you are a true bibliophile. So, following down the rules of the books, I would like to begin with chapter 1 as we turn the pages of your life. What are the euphoric and the nostalgic memories of your childhood and your school life that you would like to recall?
Okay, this is something very interesting, and I'm sure you personally I had shared this with you. That's why you're mentioning this. Um, I mean, I loved my school, and everybody. I've been telling this to my students also that like when you leave the school, then you actually understand the value of it. Otherwise, it's
Mm,
like फिर वही classes, फिर वही unit tests, फिर वही uniform. You just like fed up of things sometimes, and you feel rules and regulations all the time. कब हमें छुटकारा मिलेगा? When are we going to go to the college? But let me tell you, once you enter college, you absolutely are devastated, and you miss your school days, the discipline, and your friends, and everything else. Because discipline basically means everything falling in place. So everything is structured in school. College में ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. So it's like very haphazard. So wherever I went to three different cities. I've been working in three different cities, and I have lived in four different cities actually. But three different cities I worked, and two different countries, three different boards I have worked. But let me tell you, मेरे स्कूल जैसा कोई स्कूल नहीं है. हाँ, I would admit that coming to Wilsonia felt like going back to my school because the same type of hymns I'm singing, the same type of hymn book is there. So this incident just came to my mind that one day maths has always been like a ghost, you know. So I wanted to skip my maths test. I was in seventh standard, and I had to walk like crossing my school. We used to had to cross from the church compound. And it was a rumor that there is a white lady. There is a spirit of a white lady roaming around there, and it usually goes in the evening after sunset. But because I had chore in my heart that day, and I was kind of skipping my test, going half day after school from school, and so I was just like kind of I was like not very conscious about everything, but I was very scared, and I was walking through this compound, and then suddenly I was enjoying the nature because there was a lot of trees, and suddenly I saw bushes because there were cottages lined up, and there were bushes. And on the bushes, there were some, scrumptious, juiciest red berries. And obviously, it was like 10:30 in the morning, and I was feeling hungry. And I thought, wow, what is this? Whose house is this? And then I noticed that a few berries of had fallen down. I picked them up, and that moment, I bent to pick them up, and that moment I heard my name, and it was like loud, Shaz. And I was like, my Atma went out of me and went on a heaven trip and came back, and it was like, who is that? And then I like peeped up, and I saw my vice principal standing over there. It was her house, her bush, her hedge. And I was like, ye kya kar diya? And I was like, ma'am, how are you, ma'am? And she was like, what are you doing here? And then I said, ma'am, I was not feeling well. I'm going home. She said, okay. What did you pick up? I said, ma'am, berries had fallen down. Will you keep it on the boundary and go? And that was such a feeling. One, that I was so scared. Second, that there is nothing like White Lady. It's just a rumor. And third, I was happy that out of 2,500 girls, my vice principal knows my name. So it was such a mixed feeling, and it's a very memorable memory from school time.
Okay, ma'am, that was indeed a great story. So, my second question is, while growing up, was there any individual that captivated your imagination, that sort of made your heart proclaim that I want to be like him or her? And in addition, what quality was that of that individual that inspired you, and how well have you been able to inculcate or assimilate that quality into your personal life?
Apart from my mother, if we are talking about like successful people, Kiran Bedi is somebody I really admire. I always admired her courage and her straightforwardness, and that she never shadowed herself with anybody else. You must have heard about Kiran Bedi that she also put a challan on Indira Gandhi's car in Delhi sometime in the when the Olympiad was happening. This is what I had read, and that is why I was like, my goodness, she was the first lady IPS of India. So she has always been. And what really again inspired me was there used to be a Kiran Ki Adalat or something. So there was this program called Kiran Ki Adalat where there used to be, usual cases. They used to come like family feuds about land or something like that. And she used to settle down things. It was not an official judgment, but since she was an LLB, she has a degree of LLB also. So she used to do it really nicely, benefit of doubts and everything. And she used to balance things and make both the parties satisfied. And her judgments were really good. So I really got inspired with her all the time. I have like different personalities. I was very inspired with Vasco da Gama. I was inspired with Leonardo da Vinci. I was about to say Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo da Vinci really inspired me because he was a multi-faceted personality. He used to do a lot of things. Rabindranath Tagore is another one because he was a writer, poet, singer, don't know what, superb teacher. And then when it comes to writing, I'm a big fan of Ruskin Bond. So there are a lot of things, a lot of different people inspiring in different phases of life.
And for further proceedings, over to our head boy, Mohammad Faisal.
Thank you so much, Fahad. Ma'am, I agree. Being a vice principal is a very hard job and very tiring job. So, what are some of the biggest challenges and hardships that you face, and how do you address them?
Okay,
That's my
a good
question for
question.
you.
A good question. Why being a vice principal is actually, you are a counterpart of the principal when the principal is not there. So, and then you have to be a filter between the students, parents, and everybody else and the principal. You are like the curtain in front of the principal or director, sir, also. So definitely it is a hard task. I have been doing it since 2019 because before this, I was a vice principal in Modern Public School, which is a CBSE school. But there, my public dealing was not as much as over here. It is definitely a lot of pressure, especially during exams. And during exams is the most, I mean, that's the time when there is an attack of students requesting for, tests and all, and parents who want to meet. And I'm doing my exam work also. So it's a very hectic time and it has a lot of pressure, mental pressure. So definitely, but then there are some students like you, whom on whom I really depend upon, and I can, always delegate my stuff. Just say, Faisal, just go and take a round. Why is this person not here? Or maybe Fahad doing some technical stuff, or for the girls' blog, I have a few students. So I'm definitely, I feel empowered with a, eligible and smart group of cabinet members and other girls and boys.
Uh, so, that's really a good answer, showing how tiring your job is. But people are the integral part of our lives. They help you so much. Okay, ma'am. As you mentioned before, mentioned now that you serve as a vice principal in modern public school. So, as someone who has served in both a CBSE as well as an IST school, what are some of the key differences you have observed between the two boards? How has the differences influenced your approach to administration and student engagement?
Okay. Good question. Uh, I will divide this answer into two parts. One, that since there were two different boards, so I'll tell you the difference between the boards first. Obviously, ICSE, I have experience since I've started working. I haven't ever administered ICSE before. I have always been throughout, I've been a CBSE student and a teacher. When I went to UAE for a few months, I was there for British International School. So it was a British curriculum. And it was a very simple curriculum. CBSE is like very complicated. But since I've worked here, what I'm experiencing is this is a bit complicated because it starts from 9th standard and there are a lot of options. So how many children in this class for commerce, how many children in this class for science and stuff like that. So it's like complicated. And I feel how I define CBSE is it's like white. There's a lot of variety, wide things. And ICSE is like deep. They are into this, like distance is going like horizontal when you're talking about CBSE and distance is going like, vertical when it comes to ICSE. This is the difference between the boards. And coming to the schools, well, the city is the same. So the gentry is more or less the same. The only thing that I felt was that, discipline level is also like, I feel it has to be, taken care of in both the schools. But here, what I felt was, frankly, the students are sweeter. They are mischievous, they are rowdy, but then they are obedient. But over
Thank
there,
you so much.
I felt that if you just, yelled at the boys, or boys are ज़्यादातर boys ही होते हैं ज़्यादा इसके चक्कर में, indiscipline or naughtiness and mischief. So they used to just run away, never listen. But if I catch hold of somebody over here, they will at least come in front of me, get their names written, apologize or whatever, right? So this is what I feel. They are like a little more disciplined from other schools and easier to catch hold of.
So, ma'am, till now you have achieved so much in your life, in your career. So, what's the most memorable one?
I haven't achieved anything actually. I mean, I have been wondering in my life, what am I doing? What is my plan? Where am I going? Because, like, to sum up, I always wanted to be an IS officer. So, after my graduation, I started preparing for that. But unfortunately, I couldn't go to Delhi because Delhi is the hub of preparation of UPSC. I just couldn't go there. So 4 years I was like struggling and I couldn't get through the mains of UPSC. So I turned towards MPPSC, that is Madhya Pradesh Public Service Commission. There I cleared my prelims in the first attempt. I was very happy. I wrote mains then, but in interview there is a problem over there that there is a quota. There is a, first there is a main quota which starts from ST, that is scheduled tribes, then scheduled caste, then OBC. So they kind of, shortlist. So I was in the general category. So by the time my chance was supposed to come or whatever, the seats were full. So I never got a chance to face the interview board, even in MPPSC. So I felt very disheartened and I was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I doing? But then after my parents' demise, I went back to teaching. Immediately after my graduation, I had started teaching. 5 years experience I had of teaching in a CBSE school. In the same school, I was a prefect in charge of discipline. In the same school, I started teaching. So then when I came here to Muradabad after my mother's demise, I was just wondering, what am I supposed to do? Ab to MPPSC mein bhi nahi hua, parents bhi nahi hai, what am I supposed to do? So then I thought of going back to teaching because I had experience. And then fortunately, I joined Krishna International School, which is Stanford now. It was a very good experience there. And then I got an offer from Modern Public School, and it was a very good exposure that I got over there about event planning, because we used to plan a lot of concerts and we used to invite judges from Delhi and Mumbai. Like I remember meeting RJ Naved and Puneet Vashisht, who's an actor. He had a famous role in Josh movie. Then we had this Prince Narula. Unfortunately, at the time Prince Narula was the judge, I wasn't there in school. So, but then we had a good experience over there in MPS.
So, ma'am, education is your, I can say, most high career, right? So what advice would you give to aspiring educational leaders?
Well, education is something which is, the more you explore, the more you feel you are jahil, honestly. Sorry to use that word, but the more I read, the more I feel I don't know anything. The only point of time I remember, recently I went to Mussoorie via Dehradun. So in Dehradun, my train was late, and I got obviously I searched for those book vendors on the station. So I was waiting for my train, and I went to the book vendor. I got few books, and I got a thin book of Ruskin Bond. I always love his short stories. So I got it and I started reading that. The book said How to Be a Writer by Ruskin Bond. So I started reading it. I read the introduction first chapter, and then I realized the rest of the stories I had already read. That was the first time I felt, हाँ मुझे आता है ये, like that. So then I rushed to the store again and I returned that book, and this guy was looking at me skeptical कि अरे 2 घंटे पहले किताब लेके गई थी अब वापस कर रही हैं. And I was like, नहीं अभी मतलब 40 minutes हुए मुझे. And thankfully I had paid it through GPay, so I showed him the time I had made the payment, and then he believed. Otherwise he thought कि इनके तो मजे, ये तो किताब खरीद के ले गई अब दूसरी खरीदने आ गई. So, but then that was the first time in my entire life I felt कि हाँ ये मुझे आता है. Otherwise, education is like the deeper you go, the deeper it gets.
Absolutely. So, ma'am, how have your hobbies such as traveling or reading books affected your personality?
My hobby of reading, actually, it really affected my personality, because the more, again, as I said, the more you read, the more you feel that you still have to learn a lot. Always turn your characteristics into your qualities and turn them into maybe like achievements of life. This is what I feel. I tell this to every student, that if you're doing this, you can definitely go forward. Like, there are a few very good actors in our school, the boys, they just come and they cry, sorry, ma'am, this and that. And the moment I turn back, they are fine, no tears, nothing. I tell them, ये जो acting का हुनर है ना, इसको use करो. But then you have to be well educated to be a good actor.
Yes, ma'am. Any book that changed your life?
Any?
Book that changed your life.
Okay, any
That
book,
inspires you.
definitely. It actually gave me a phase of life. I have been inspired, as I said, I have been inspired with short stories always. Novels जो है ना, I started from Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew का नाम सुना होगा, Hardy Boys. Teenagers में बहुत मशहूर है.
Yes.
But I always loved short stories, from Ruskin Bond to Prem Chand to O. Henry. स्पेशली ओ हेनरी. ओ हेनरी के स्टोरीज में लास्ट में ऐसा ट्विस्ट होता है कि यू जस्ट सिट, यू आर जस्ट लाइंग डाउन एंड रीडिंग, एंड यू सिट अप, यू आर ऑन द एज ऑफ योर चेयर. कुछ ना कुछ लास्ट में ऐसा ट्विस्ट आ जाता है. इफ यू रिमेम्बर द लास्ट लीफ, इट्स अ वेरी पॉपुलर स्टोरी. आफ्टर 20 years, बड़ी पॉपुलर स्टोरी उनकी. सो आई ऑलवेज वांटेड टू बी अ शॉर्ट स्टोरी राइटर. Meanwhile, I always also started thinking of writing a non-fiction book. So I was on the airport of Coimbatore, and suddenly a book caught my attention. I went there. It was a blood red book. And I was like, ये क्या है? And then I saw it was Ankur Wariku's Do the Epic Shit. It's not a very good title, but when I started reading that, I realized कि ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे ही इज कन्वर्सिंग विद हिज रीडर्स, ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे वो बात कर रहे हैं. तो ये एक नया स्टाइल मुझे दिखा. और एक और चीज है, आई वुड डेफिनेटली लाइक टू शेयर दिस विद यू. सी, दिस इज अ न्यू ट्रेंड, यू ऑल कैन सी.
Yes, ma'am. I see.
दिस इज इंग्लिश. अंदाजे बयां और गालिब के बारे में कहा जाता है, कहते हैं कि गालिब का है अंदाजे बयां और. सो इट्स इज लाइक, उनके लिए वो एक टैग लाइन है और भी दुनिया में सुखनवर बहुत अच्छे, कहते हैं कि गालिब का है अंदाजे बयां और. आई एम ऑलवेज इंस्पायर्ड विद ऑल थ्री लैंग्वेजेस. बोलने में मेरी बहुत अच्छी है, हिंदी, इंग्लिश, उर्दू. जिसमें से हिंदी, इंग्लिश आई कैन रीड एंड राइट ऑल्सो, बट उर्दू में रीडिंग में आई हैव अ प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज ऑफ द स्क्रिप्ट. तो आई ऑलवेज यूज टू फील कि यार कोई हिंदी में क्यों नहीं लिखता, ये हिंदी की स्क्रिप्ट में उर्दू क्यों नहीं लिखता कोई. बट दीज पीपल स्टार्टेड, ये रेख्ता इज द पब्लिशिंग हाउस, रेख्ता. So they have started this. It's been like Iqbal and Ghalib are two celebrated poets and writers of Urdu. तो उनकी बुक्स अब इन्होंने रोमन में लिखनी शुरू की है उर्दू, बट यू कैन रीड इट इन रोमन. सो दिस इज समथिंग लवली दैट आई फाउंड. ऐसा लगा जैसे खजाने की चाबी मिल गई. Maybe a master key which I can open the treasure of Urdu literature.
But if we could turn back time, What piece of advice would you give to your own self as a child or as a teenager?
Very good question. As a child, I would definitely go for more organized studies in my school time rather than involving too much into activities. I was like an avid person running here and there. Isme bhi, usme bhi, usme bhi. I mean, at one time in annual function, I used to be at least in three items. भागी चली जाती थी
Hmm.
प्लस वॉलंटियर्स फॉर द लिटिल वंस क्योंकि दादागिरी करने में मजा आता था तब भी सो I was like I could have been a more organized student because when I started studying in MBA वो जो मैंने नोट्स बनाए एमए इकोनॉमिक्स से बनाने शुरू किए तो जो मैंने नोट्स एट दैट टाइम व्हेन आई व्हाट नोट्स आई मेड वो मुझे बड़े अच्छे लगे एंड आई फेल्ट कि अगर इस लेवल पे मैंने स्कूल में पढ़ाई की होती आई वुड हैव स्कोर्ड मोर.
Okay, ma'am. So, my last question is rather deep and profound, I would say, ma'am. We all meet around 80,000 people in our life. Most of them shed like leaves, while some of them remain firm like roots. So, my question is to you, ma'am. How would you like to be remembered? By all those who adore you or look up towards you? How would you like to be remembered?
I must say one thing, you stole all the good questions. Okay. I would definitely be like to be remembered as one of the most popular teachers, celebrated writer, avid traveler, and maybe that's it, I guess. Maybe a writer, yes, definitely. As a writer, I want to live on, and obviously being popular will be a benefit, like added benefit.
As you mentioned before, in one of your answers that due to some quota, how you were not be able to clear or attend your interview part in the civil service exam. So looking ahead, how do you see the change? Do you hope for what changes or improvement in the Indian educational system?
Very good question. Indian education system should still, it is still evolving, and I feel that the NEP should still have a lot of things which is missing, which I felt very nice to see in Wilsonia. That financial literacy is something introduced. So I love this because this is nowhere in Muradabad,
As
and it
you
should
are
be
also an
there.
economist.
Yes, so it should be there and not just about the commerce students, for everybody. They should know where to invest. They should know how to at least see, at least for the 11th and 12th. If I'm there, आगे के सालों में, I'll definitely introduce something, an introductory class of how to create your CV. बच्चों को यही नहीं पता. Even people who are applying for jobs of teachers and different things, they don't know how to make a CV. So still, I feel there is a lot of changes which should happen to the education system. And talking about like history and everything, it should be there. People say that history पढ़ के क्या करेंगे, मगर ऐसा नहीं है. We should know our history well, the right history, the correct one. And definitely it should keep evolving. It should be dynamic. जैसे पुरानी चीजें साथ में लेके चल रहे हैं, नई चीजें भी ऐड होती जानी चाहिए. आगे जाके I should definitely I would suggest people to add, how to make a podcast, how to start a YouTube channel or be an influencer. It is
Yes,
a
ma'am.
career. You can definitely go for it.
Beautiful answer, ma'am. My next question, I want to say you're a wonderful teacher, ma'am. No doubt.
Thank
So don't take it seriously.
you.
So,
Okay.
how do you categorize yourself as a lenient teacher or a strict teacher?
Well, this I actually realized a few years back that one of my students, मैं क्लास में बहुत डांटती हूँ सबको. Collectively, I'm always, सुनाती रहती हूँ बच्चों को बुरा भला कि क्या करते हो तुम लोग? What are you doing? Look at yourself, this and that. But then there was this guy, छोटा बच्चा था, class 5 का. I remember his name was Vithal or something like that. V से कुछ नाम था उसका. So he wrote in his essay, my favorite teacher, SHAZ ma'am. And I was like, Hare, I have always been scolding him. How can I be his favorite teacher? But the way he explained it, there was a passage about a favorite teacher. उसमें मैंने देखा कि he actually understands me so well. He said that SHAZ ma'am seems to be strict from outside, but inside she's very soft and friendly and understanding. And if collectively we are doing something wrong, she will be very strict and give us punishments. But if we go to her personally, she will always understand and take out some solutions. I was flabbergasted to read this passage. I was like, इतना छोटा बच्चा, he understood me so well. And in
I
fact,
guess that.
तब मुझे समझ में आया कि अच्छा, this actually is my category.
Can you share insight about the various startups you are involved with? Specifically, what type of ventures are you currently engaged in, and how do they align with your personal interest and expertise?
Okay, I am definitely looking for multiple incomes because I don't know whose uh, statement is this, that if you are born poor, it's not a mistake, but if you die poor, it's your mistake. So I was definitely I've been freelancing. Like when I came back from UAE for 2 months, I was there in British International School, but I couldn't meet expenses of the rent over there. So I had to come back. And then I had my B.Ed final year exams. So when I came here for around 1.5 year, I was freelancing. That time I did a lot of things. I was making CVs, I was making graphics, I was teaching people online. Then I was also going on contractual basis to schools who were not affiliated with boards. There are many schools in this city जो बोर्ड से affiliated नहीं है, and they need guidance. So उनकी teachers को train करना, and also teachers training, online classes, making CVs and writing online. I was doing a lot of things, making graphics also. So then I felt that I should be doing it seriously. So I started taking the online classes for personality development and English, spoken English, professionally. So now I take it one or two students, a very custom made class for them. So, and definitely it is a part of my profession. Teaching is a part of my profession, through which I'm meeting a lot of people. I also went for a workshop last November to Bangalore. And there was this workshop where they were teaching the soft skill trainers. We were getting trained as a soft skill trainer. So that also made me meet a lot of different people of different states from various places, and their shocking stories. When you meet more people, you find out हमें लगता है हमारी लाइफ में बहुत struggle है. But believe me, इतनी ज़्यादा struggling background से लोग आए हुए थे कि I was
Yes, ma'am.
like shocked and sad and amazed कि इतना
Okay.
सब कुछ सहने के बाद भी they are here and they are looking forward for their career. I got a lot of stories there. So after next venture, I'm thinking is to be start writing short stories.
As I heard all your talks, I had one question in my mind, that how do you envision the Wilsonia's future, and what steps are you taking to vision that?
Okay, this is a very important step. As you know, this podcast thing is my brainchild. So, and I wanted the kids to do it. I could have done it. I could have been a part of the podcast. Maybe as a new teacher, I could have taken, podcast of other teachers. But I wanted you people and other people who are like interested. You could see like a few days back, there was nobody who was ready to come to podcast. And just 2 3 days before um, the Shera holidays, two girls came to me and they said, "Ma'am, we want to be a part. I want to be a part." So this is how it goes. It's basically about the ice ball effect. Ice ball effect के बारे में सुना होगा. A small ball.
Yes,
अगर आप
ma'am.
आइस की एक स्मॉल बॉल एक क्लिफ के ऊपर से रोल कर दे तो जब वो नीचे आती है इट बिकम्स अ बिग बिग बॉल. सो दैट आइस बॉल इफेक्ट मैं चाह रही थी कि one day I'm imagining a podcast channel of maybe 6 standard children taking interviews, and it should be decent, it should be informative and entertaining. So this is how I envision Wilsonia College, and then obviously more branches and maybe a university in future. College in Bhopal, जहाँ ये फहाद को इन लोगों को लेके गई थी मैं. Uh, this college we went PSSS. I don't know you people saw that or not. These people have their own radio channel. उनका पूरा अपना स्टूडियो है. And that channel is called Rhythm. FM है वो Rhythm के नाम से. So when I thought of that, I thought, why can't Wilsonia have this? So when I talked to sir, he said, if we are doing well with the podcast thing, maybe in future we can have our own studio. तब हम बुला सकते हैं दूसरे सेलिब्रिटीज को और दूसरे अचीवर्स को सिटी के, and Wilsonians can take interviews of them.
Nice. So now, and over to Samra.
How did you fill time without mobile phone in childhood?
Television was definitely. Technology has always spoiled kids. if it is used in excess, definitely spoils people. So TV हमारा तो all the time, tailspin and duck tails and Chota Bheem type, a lot of things. Chota Bheem तो नहीं था, there were a lot of other, Shaktiman was there for us to destroy our time. And a lot of things were there. Books was something was I was very much interested in, and I'm still there. So I had a collection of books. In when I was very small, I used to have 4 feet का एक stack था मेरे पास of Champak, Chacha Chaudhary, and Tinkle. And then when I grew up, it was Nancy Drew, Agatha Christie, and a lot of other mystery writers. I was very fond of mystery and murder mystery, especially.
Ma'am,
But
what
this so
problems have you faced till now?
problems that I have problems, so they were every day. Every day there is some problem or the other. But one statement of my mother I always keep in mind, that there is no problem in this entire world जिसका कोई solution ना हो. And if you're not able to find the solution, it is your incapability. So इसलिए I never used to complain. इतना मुझे पता है, there will be problems, but there should not be complaints. Problem आए, tackle. ये आ गया, चलो, what next? ये नहीं कर सकते, कुछ और, like that.
So, ma'am, my last question is what you recommend us for our future?
Just be yourself. This is what I tell everybody, that if you think that you want to be like Sachin Tendulkar, not everybody can be. Like this is my cousin recently. He was like going crazy for cricket, and I was like, listen, dude, I cannot afford, your mom cannot afford the cricket kit and 2 hours of going in the stadium and all, because boards are coming. He's in 9th standard. I said next year is boards. हम आपको इस टाइम पे नहीं भेज सकते. I will not recommend. So, but if you want to go to sports, I will suggest you go for taekwondo. And he was like, मुझे नहीं जाना, this and that. Tantrums. I said fine, मत जाओ. But cricket में तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता अभी. After 10th we'll see. थोड़े दिन बाद he said कि he wants to go. I, without questioning and without saying क्यों अब क्या हुआ, I am not like that. I was like, अच्छा, बहुत बढ़िया, very good. Let's go to taekwondo. वो गया है, ट्रस्ट मी, दूसरे हफ्ते में टॉप 10 में आ गया, और तीसरे हफ्ते में ही नाउ इन टॉप 5. एंड आई वाज लाइक, सी आई टोल्ड यू, स्पोर्ट्स अगर करना है, सो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि आप क्रिकेट है तो क्रिकेट में ही जाए. स्पोर्ट्स की चीज आप दूसरी कुछ कर लो अभी, एंड बाय द टाइम यू आर लाइक इंडिपेंडेंट और वी आर एबल टू अफोर्ड, तो फिर वील गो फॉर क्रिकेट ऑल्सो. सो कीप एक्सप्लोरिंग योर सेल्फ. यू डोंट नो, द क्रिएटर नोज. कोशिश करते रहना चाहिए. That is what I feel. Be yourself. Be the best of yourself.
I want to ask that why don't you make your own podcast channel?
Everybody tells me this. Everyone. Like you're not the first person. My cousins, my friends. Maybe in future I'll be doing some podcast for some moral gyan or something like that. Let's see.
Brilliant, man. Nice idea.
ट्रैवलिंग में करूंगी, मैं पता है सोच रही थी ऑनेस्टली कि आई कुड मेक व्लॉग्स, ट्रैवल व्लॉग्स. So then you need to have somebody accompanying you who's good in capturing.
Gathered from ma'am words and ma'am's life is that a person should be like a fierce falcon, to have the courage to flight into new territories and expand his knowledge and experiences. And since ma'am is a great admirer of poetry, I'm reminded of Dr. Iqbal, where once he said,
Yes.
बेदार होती औकाबी रूह जब जवानों में, आती है नजर
Yes.
उन्हें मंजिल आसमानों में. So
आसमानों
on that note, thank you so much, ma'am. It's truly an honor. We are blessed to have a person like you who illuminates us with their sagaciousness. And thank you to our diligent team, Faisal, Samra, Lufsia, Abhishek. And like they say in Wilsonia, let your light shine. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in.